The crisis always triggers anguish in the entire world population. Crises caused by invasions and military conflicts are even more so, since in this type of situation it is always difficult to know how much damage has been done to society. Losses not only of rivers of money but also of lives, cause total poverty. Even the richest man in the world is afraid of this and warns that we must prepare. Stay in the video and I'll tell you why Elon Musk believes a crisis is coming because of Russia. The world has never been so preoccupied with fear of nuclear conflict since the Allies defeated Germany, Italy and Japan in World War II. Since then, the planet has gone through strong tensions. One, especially the most important, in 1962, at the height of the Cold War, humanity came as close as possible to witnessing the end of civilization. It was the year of the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the United States and the Soviet Union placed their atomic bombs in position at the push of a button to start the most devastating conflict in the human's history. Life as we know it would probably not exist, and the world would be sunk until today in a century nuclear winter. But the missile crisis ended diplomatically, and the world breathed a sigh of relief in the decades before this tension. Until the present day, in today's world, the world has seen major economic, health, and geopolitical crises, internal conflicts, and long violent dictatorships, and even the dissolution of the great powers, such as the Soviet Union. The world prospered, getting richer and richer. Even the possibility of there being trillionaires became more real. Everything seemed calm. The risk of a nuclear crisis was no longer on the horizon until February 2022 arrived, a few months ago, and Russia invaded Ukraine, unleashing the biggest conflict Europe has seen since 1945. Russian military power was on the field, and the United States and Europe knew the danger of it. In addition to being powerful in the military area, Russia has another great weapon, which Elon Musk was referring to when he warned about the future crisis that will hit US oil. Russia is the third largest producer of gas and oil in the world, and the second largest exporter. It is entirely possible to say that Russia is what prevents Europe from freezing in the winter with its huge reserves of natural gas. In addition to maintaining the world oil supply at important levels so that demand is balanced, this worldwide dependence has sparked two warnings. The first of those who advocate renewable and clean energies such as solar, wind, and nuclear. Elon Musk is one of the biggest advocates of sustainable energy and the end of fossil fuels that accelerate climate change. His company Tesla invests billions of dollars annually in the manufacture and popularization of electric cars, but sustainable energy to curb the world's dependence on Russia, gas, and oil is not possible for now. Elon Musk himself stated on Twitter, quote, "I hate to say this, but we need to increase our oil and gas production immediately. Extraordinary times demand extraordinary measures. End quotes. Elon Musk had to admit this. It's because the hole is really much deeper. Later he added, quotes, obviously doing this would negatively affect Tesla. More sustainable energy solutions are simply unable to react instantly to offset exports of Russia oil and gas. End quote. Elon Musk also warned Europe that it was necessary to react with other solutions. For example, immediately reactivating dormant nuclear plants. Nuclear energy is a clean source of energy, but it faces resistance in Europe. In addition to activating these plants, he also suggested that countries considerably need to increase their production. This is critical for national and international security. The billionaire completed, quote, with pre-war data, the International Atomic Energy Agency said in a report that Europe would have 102 decommissioned nuclear power generation stations. On the other hand, Russia would remain the supplier of a third of all gas on the European continent. End quote. Despite most European countries moving towards clean and renewable energy solutions, Russia would still be the biggest supplier of European demands, which earns it hundreds of billions of euros per year. But the transition to clean energy is not as fast as European governments would like. And here we come to the controversial point of the entire conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The invaded country is supported by the Americans and Europeans. Before talking about the controversy, I knew that not only 5% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel, while the average on YouTube is over 30%. So if you like this type of content, subscribe here on the channel. I'm really happy for every support you give me. For many, this is just a number, but for me it is a way to know that the work is being done well. I count on you. And remember, I also have content in BitChute and Rumble and Odyssey. I really appreciate if you subscribe to my channels. Thank you. Now back to the controversy, and the controversy is largely due to the richest and most powerful country in Europe, Germany. The German country that, despite being historically active in military conflicts, has become peaceful in the last 5 decades, always favoring good diplomatic relations and trade as a way to achieve peace in the world. And that philosophy has been widely put into perspective with the rapprochement with Russia in this century. This approach favored both sides. A good part of this relationship, friendly until the invasion of Ukraine, happened through the sale of Russia gas to Germany through gas pipelines. And there was no small sale. About 50% of the energy used by Germany comes from Russia gas. So it is often the case that the president of Ukraine even says that European money is financing the invasion. For example, from February to March of 2022, the European Union paid around 35 billion euros for gas, while providing Ukraine with 1 billion euros in armaments and economic aids. The country is a prime example of the economic power that Russia wields in the region, and the United States has always hated that. Germany, a great American ally, boasting lucrative deals with Russia, great rival to the Americans, was not something they liked. But this dependence has never stopped growing until now. In 2011, due to the earthquakes and tsunamis, the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan had an accident and the radiation escaped. It was a disaster. The second biggest nuclear accident in the history, and that gave the Europeans an argument to close their nuclear plants as soon as possible, fearing a repeat of Fukushima. Elon Musk, who did not follow this line of reasoning and still argues today that nuclear energy is much better for global warming than burning fossil fuels to generate energy. He tweeted, quote, Germany planned to close 3 more nuclear plants by December of 2022, but under the circumstances is intending to delay these shutdowns. These shutdowns again had radiation risk in mind. End quote. Elon Musk had rebutted this argument by claiming that the risk of radiation is much lower than the possible belief. In July of 2022, Elon Musk visited Fukushima where the nuclear accident took place, and he has said since then that the risk is lower than the propagated one. Interestingly, in 2021, a study was published stating that the side effect of the accident and the radiation exposure from it is much less than that was supposed. This fear helped Russia establish itself as the biggest supplier of energy to the Europeans. Despite strong European and American sanctions, the Russia oil and gas sector has not been directly hit, but international buyers are wary of buying Russian oil, which made fuel prices soar around the world. This tendency not to buy Russian oil comes at a cost. As the other major oil producer cannot keep up with demand, only Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates managed to increase their production. The United States, aware of this demand and trying to make the world buy less from Russia oil, therefore, the superpower has decided to increase its own production and currently has 240 more drilling rigs than last year. Despite this increase in production, the price of gasoline, for example, has skyrocketed worldwide. In the United States, in the state of California, for example, the price is on average at $5.48 per gallon, the highest price in the country's history. The country, led by Joe, since last year is facing problems with high fuel prices, including releasing strategic reserves to try to lower prices. The health situation had already dealt a heavy blow to the world oil market, and Russia only appears to have given a final push to the price, to high prices from a global crisis in demand. An economic and social crisis almost always starts in the same way, with the most basic products becoming expensive, and nowadays fuels are the basis for the full functioning of society. Elon Musk warned of the crisis. It is likely that it has already arrived. The question is, how long will it last? As I said in the video, strong sanctions have hit Russia. I'll see you soon. That's it for this video. A big hug and get business.